The Greatsword is the slowest weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds, but it's also the hardest hitting in the entire game. Every swing is a commitment, but when it connects, it can chunk a monster's health like nothing else. In this video, I'm going to share tips to help you get good with GS, from the core moves to advanced tech that'll make your attack flow smoother and more consistent. Let's start with the basics. If you press left click 3 times, you'll go through the Greatsword's basic combo: Charge Slash, then Strong Charge Slash, and finally True Charge Slash, or TCS for short. Each of these attacks can be charged by holding left click instead of just tapping it, and doing so increases the damage depending on when you release. And out of the 3, TCS is the strongest. Now in practice, going through the full 3-hit combo isn't always realistic, especially against faster monsters. So in most hunts, your goal is to find ways to get into TCS faster without having to do the first 2 attacks every time. We'll go over how to do that later, but before anything else, it's important to understand how charge timing actually works, since that applies to almost every move you'll use with this weapon. Most GS attacks can be charged by holding left click instead of just tapping it. While charging, you'll notice a visual indicator on your hunter, first a white flash, then yellow, and finally red. That red flash means you've reached level 3, and that's where you want to release the attack to get the most damage. But if you hold the charge too long, the attack will overcharge, and it'll automatically release at a lower level. If you overcharge, you'll release the attack at level 2, and you'll lose around 30% of your potential damage as a result. On top of that, standing still while charging leaves you open to attacks, and that's a risk you'll constantly need to manage. To help with that, you've got to utilize tackle, which we'll go through in the next tip. While charging an attack, you can press right-click to perform a shoulder tackle. It has several practical uses, especially when it comes to keeping your attack flow going. For one, it gives you super armor, so if a monster hits you mid-tackle, you won't flinch. You'll also take reduced damage, and if the hit connects with the monster's head, it even builds up stun. But what makes tackle especially useful is that it doesn't reset your combo. So if you're in the middle of a charge, using it lets you keep your combo going without having to restart the chain from the first hit. You can even chain multiple tackles to hold onto your TCS setup and release it when you see the best opening. It's most effective when you know a monster is about to hit you, like during a roar or a big swing, but it also helps you stay in range for a hit you might have otherwise missed, or skip slower moves to reach TCS faster. GS has a very slow attack speed, which is why accuracy is a pretty big deal, probably more than any other weapon. One miss or hit can seriously affect your overall DPS, especially if you're trying to clear a hunt as fast as possible. One thing that can help with that is by turning on focus mode. Without it, your hunter stays locked in whatever direction you were facing when you started charging, and if the monster moves, you're stuck with that direction or forced to reset. But with focus mode turned on, you can adjust your aim while charging, which helps you stay locked onto your target as you line up the hit. It won't fix bad positioning, but it gives you more room to work with, especially when you're trying to land a charged attack under pressure. Like most weapons, GS can target and destroy wounds by pressing shift when you're within range of a monster's wounded part. This triggers the perforate move, which runs the blade across the wound and deals heavy damage along that section. What makes this especially useful is that if you press left click right after perforate, you'll skip the first 2 hits of your basic combo and go straight into a TCS follow-up. Even better, perforate inherits the charge level of the move you used before it. So if you landed a level 3 charged attack beforehand, the damage from perforate itself will be significantly higher. If the monster has multiple wounds, it's worth targeting them one at a time so you can unleash TCS a lot more often than you'd normally get the chance to. This loop of destroying wounds one at a time is probably GS' strongest burst combo when executed properly. If you hold both left click and right click at the same time, you'll perform the offset rising slash. Just like your regular charged attacks, this move can be charged up to level 3. It won't overcharge, but if you hold it too long, it'll still release on its own. Unlike your other charge moves though, you can't tackle while using it, so once you commit, you're all in. But the real value of this move comes down to timing. If you release the attack right as a monster's hit connects, your hunter performs a counter that can nullify the damage and even knock the monster down. It's worth noting that this counter only works if you've charged at least to level 1. If you release it too early, before the charge kicks in, you'll just perform a regular rising slash, and you won't get the counter. After a successful offset, you can press left click to follow up with cross slash. It's one of your strongest moves, just behind TCS in raw power. Cross Slash also inherits the charge level of your offset rising slash. So if you landed it at level 3, the follow-up will hit even harder. You can also use offset rising slash after a TCS to slightly shorten the attack recovery and sets you up for another counter if the monster keeps pressuring you. This move is definitely high risk, and if your timing is off, you're probably going to eat a big hit. But when you land it clean, it's one of the most satisfying and stylish tools in the whole kit. That said, there are limits to how often the knockdown can trigger, and that's exactly what we'll go over in the next tip. You can land multiple offset counters in a fight if your timing is on point, but that doesn't mean the monster will keep going down every time. There appears to be an internal cooldown tied to the knockdown effect, and the more you trigger it in quick succession, the less likely it is to happen again. Instead, you might get a slight interruption or no stagger at all. Sometimes the attack will still go through and cross slash won't be available. You will still gain super armor though, so even if it doesn't interrupt the monster, you won't flinch and the damage will be reduced. And whenever the cross slash and knockdown don't trigger, you can still follow up with TCS immediately after the offset. It's a solid damage option, but keep in mind that if the monster isn't staggered, there's a real risk of getting punished if you commit too early. When in doubt, throw in a tackle before committing to TCS to help secure the hit. Greatsword also comes with a block, and all the usual mechanics that go with it. Unlike most weapons, GS lets you block even while your weapon is sheathed, which can bail you out when you don't have time to dodge or draw your weapon. That said, it's not as reliable as what you'd get with a lance or sword and shield. Normal blocks cost a good chunk of stamina, and if you try to absorb multiple hits, you can run out completely, leaving you wide open. And although they are not as bad as the previous game, blocking too much will also reduce your weapon's sharpness pretty quickly. That's why going for a perfect block is the better option, and you can do this by pressing R just as the attack hits. It significantly cuts down knockback and stamina loss, and more importantly, it completely avoids chip damage and sharpness loss. It also gives you a chance to counter, and from there you can follow up with a charge slash, wide slash, or even offset rising slash depending on what the monster does next. If you block enough attacks, you can sometimes trigger a power clash. This is a special sequence, almost like a quick time event, where you lock weapons with the monster momentarily. If it triggers, mash left click to overpower the monster, and if you win, the monster will stagger, allowing you to perform a follow-up attack sequence. From there, you can press left click to go straight into TCS, without needing to go through the first 2 hits of your combo. And if you don't think there's enough time for a full charge, you can press right click instead to use a leaping wide slash as a follow-up. It's worth noting that in most hunts, you'll probably trigger it once or twice. It works similar to mounting, where you can get your first power clash relatively easy, and the next ones will take significantly higher requirements. We've already gone over each of these in earlier tips, but I think it's worth pulling them all together. There are 4 ways to skip the slow combo chain and go into TCS faster. First is Focus Strike. If you destroy a wound by pressing shift to trigger Perforate, you can press left click immediately after to jump straight into TCS. It's one of the fastest transitions in the whole kit, and it's usually safe if the monster flinches or topples. The second route is utilizing Tackle. While charging an attack, you can press right-click to tackle and skip parts of your combo. If you chain 2 tackles together, you can reach TCS without going through the first 2 hits. Just keep in mind that tackle is best used reactively, like when the monster's about to swing, rather than just spamming it. And third is the offset rising slash. If you hold both left click and right click and time it just right to counter an attack, you'll normally get a cross slash follow-up. But if cross slash isn't available, you can go straight into TCS instead. It's not always safe unless the monster flinches, but pairing it with a tackle can help secure the hit. And finally, you got Power Clash. If you win the struggle after a Power Clash, you can press left click to follow up with a TCS. It kind of works just like Focus Strike, where you get to skip the normal combo chain and go straight to the big hit. If you don't think you'll have enough time to safely land a TCS, you can go for a strong wide slash instead. It's a sweeping attack that comes out faster and covers more space, ideal for tighter opening windows where TCS would take too long. What's great is that strong wide slash inherits the charge level of the attack that came before it. So if you landed a level 3 strong charge slash, the wide slash that follows will hit harder too. You can also use this move to extend your combo for longer openings, since you can still follow it up with TCS by pressing left click after the hit. After you land a TCS, there's a pretty noticeable delay before you can move again. To speed things up, press spacebar as the final hit connects to roll out and reduce the delay. You can then follow it up with a tackle by pressing left click. This will let you skip the first hit of your basic combo and put you one step closer to another TCS. You can even follow it up with a quick charge and another tackle to get into TCS much quicker. But if you don't feel safe staying in, you can also sheath your weapon and reposition. It's especially helpful if the monster's about to retaliate or you need a safer opening. We'll get more into that hit and run approach in the next tip. A classic GS technique from older games is the hit and run playstyle. The idea is to keep your weapon sheathed while you move in, then press left click to open with an overhead slash. Right after that, press spacebar to roll out, then hit E to sheath again, giving you time to reposition and wait for the next opening. This lets you avoid getting stuck in slow recovery animations, and because GS deals high damage per hit, you can still clear hunts at a reasonable pace, even with this safer approach. You can also block while your weapon is sheathed, which gives you a fallback option if you misread the monster's movement. That said, this strategy isn't ideal for DPS. In Monster Hunter Wilds, GS has gained tools like focus mode, offset, and improved blocking mechanics, so sticking with hit and run means missing out on a lot of your newer options. Still, it's a reliable fallback if you're still learning a monster's patterns or just need to play it safe. After performing a move with heavy recovery time like a charge slash, you can guard slightly faster by pressing a directional input plus R right as the animation finishes. It's a small trick, but it helps if you need to get your guard up as quickly as possible. This isn't the better option if you're coming off TCS though, since a dodge roll is usually the better choice in those situations. Also, keep in mind that unlike tackle, this will reset your combo, so you'll lose any charge progression you had going. Whenever possible, it's better to use tackle instead to stay aggressive. But if you're in a tight spot or low on options, this is a good emergency fallback. Hopefully this helped tighten up your attack flow, land more TCS hits, and just make the weapon feel better overall. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and happy hunting!